Thanks for tuning in to the Diaphragm Dynasty. I'm back with another Behind the Pen edition, and behind the pen today we'll have Darrell Babs, aka Tank. Now, Tank has one of the most efficient pens in music, not just R&B, but in music. The hits that he's penned for other artists, the songs that he's penned for himself, uh, probably the most underrated. No, I'm not gonna say probably. He is the most underrated songwriter and singer of our time and in industry history. I want to say he's one of my top five songwriters of all time. Just looking at from a totality standpoint, regardless of the genre, um, and he's always released quality songs, not just for himself but for others. And that's the thing about this songwriting piece is to not exploit, but to highlight what these songwriters have done for other artists, not just for themselves, because we know people can give themselves hits all day. But what can you give to other people that were great songs, that would have been great songs for you, but you put your ego aside and say, hey, let me give this song to somebody else? Because Tank knows that he doesn't have the cachet that some of these artists have, but he can give these songs to other people and still get the credit for it, but make the song bigger than what it is. Because at the end of the day, it's about getting the music in the right hands so it can do what it needs to do successfully for the genre. So don't, these artists are not just sitting on songs and say, well, I'm gonna put this song out for myself, even though it could probably do platinum. But if you give it to another artist, it can probably go, five times platinum, six times platinum. And it'll better the genre up for it because it'll cross over to pop success, put more spotlight on the genre, especially which is R&B. And Tank has done that. And I'll go through some songs that he's penned for other people that become excellence, great successes, and catapulted people's careers. Um, I talked about this before on the Behind the Pen with Babyface. Tank's role model is Babyface, which is a great role model to have, especially if you can know him personally. But he talked about, hey, singing is good, but learn the backside of the business, writing songs, being able to feed your family for life off of what you gave to other people. And Tank definitely took this to the next level. Now, he wrote for some of your favorite artists that you might not know, that you truly love and think are greats. So whether it be a Chris Brown, Jamie Foxx, an Aaliyah, Tyrese, Omarion, he's wrote or penned hits for all of these artists and made songs that catapulted their careers, with the exception of maybe Aaliyah and Chris Brown. But other artists, he definitely penned those songs that catapulted him to the next level, and I'll talk about those in a little bit. But 2004 and 2005 was some of his best work when he made hits that took these artists to the next level. So Omarion's O, which I believe was released in like '04 or '05, that song, you know, Omarion coming off the B2K run, going solo. And when you go solo, you're gonna need a big hit to prove that you deserve to be solo, and people not to say, "Hey, we need B2K back." When he released the Omarion's O, that song put him to the next level. That song solidified him as an artist that deserved to be there as a solo act. I didn't even think about B2K anymore once he dropped the Omarion's O. Similar to what Justin Timberlake was able to do with Cry Me a River and songs like that. We didn't think about NSYNC anymore. So that Omarion O was definitely a hit that Omarion should be thanking Tank for. Especially he put in his vocal range, and he talked about how Omarion was singing out of his range, so he had to strain his voice from trying to sing songs people were writing for him. But Tank wrote it in a perfect key for him to sing to start off his solo career. So that's just one example. Several songs on Jamie Foxx's album, which wasn't his solo project. Most people don't realize he had an album beforehand, I believe in the '90s, that didn't do too well. But this album did well because a lot had to do because of Tank's songwriting, behind the scenes work that he was doing. So a lot of songs that he wrote on that Unpredictable album, Do What It Do. Now these are all B-sides, but they were excellent songs. Do What It Do, Heaven, Wish You Were Here. All great songs. If you haven't heard those on the Jamie Foxx Unpredictable album that was released around '05, I believe. Great songs that Tank all wrote and contributed to. So definitely check those out. And he still has a great relationship with Jamie Foxx to this day because of the songwriting that he's done on that album and kind of solidified or took Jamie Foxx's R&B career to the next level and definitely had him people taking Jamie Foxx seriously as an R&B artist because he dabbled in it before, but now people actually collabed with him and people actually respected him as an artist, as an R&B artist for sure. Marcus Houston's Naked, which I'll be covering here in a little bit. That Marcus Houston Naked song, before this song came out, people, you know, respected Marcus Houston for what he did with Immature. But when you go solo, you're gonna need that song. And Neo wrote the first song that he had, That Girl, which kind of, started people getting him, to notice Marcus Houston. But this Naked song, people took him serious. This album did well. It was called Naked as well. But this Naked song that Marcus Houston released, man, Tank could have wrote that song for himself, but I don't think he would have did what it did for Marcus Houston because he had a different persona than Tank had. Tank was more of a underground artist, even to this day. Marcus Houston had the popularity from the Sister Sister show that crossed over that a lot of people in suburban community was watching. He had the movies and he had the movies from House Party and other childhood stuff that he did. A lot of people knew his name. He had a bigger name, so it made more sense to give him that song at the time. Fantasia's Free Yourself, her debut album after coming off that nice run from American Idol. He gave her two songs, Ain't Gonna Beg You and This Is Me. Mostly B-side songs, but nevertheless great songs. Yeah, he revitalized careers, man. He gave people made people take you more serious as an artist if he wrote hooks for you and not hooks, but he wrote these beautiful songs. He could have easily kept for himself, but I believe they wouldn't have did what would have done if he would have kept them for himself. But that shows you the selflessness of Tank being able to give hits to other artists and give hits to other um, people to help their careers out because it's going to help him out too, being credited as a songwriter, but being able to give these artists performable hits and give them longevity in the game and give them some credibility. That songwriting did that. Unfortunately, hip hop doesn't have that ability to highlight the people who ghost wrote for people, but it's not really ghost writing in R&B because they talk about it and they give them credit and even when they win awards and stuff like that. So um, but one of my favorite songs that Tank wrote for somebody was Chris Brown. He wrote on his Chris Brown's debut album, "Your Man Ain't Me," which is a song that could have easily been for himself, and it fit his bag at the time, especially with the Sex, Love, and Pain albums that he had. It would have been great to see him sing that song and have it for himself. But he know Chris Brown was a rising star, and it would do more than what he would have did with it. Even though Chris Brown was a younger artist, and they probably would have never released that song on radio because you know just the subject matter and for what age Chris Brown was at the time. But if you need revitalizing or reinvigorating or recreating or just need a boost in your career, definitely going to Tank is a great idea. He's an exceptional artist, and I haven't even talked about the songs he wrote for himself, like When We or um, Maybe I Deserve, some of the great songs that he wrote for himself. I haven't even gotten into those, which, I'll cover on his um, Behind the Mic edition when I do that. But he's an underrated singer and songwriter that doesn't get the looks because he's not outspoken like that or doesn't have one of these huge personalities like most of these artists, but he's very funny and very intelligent. So when you check him out, definitely check him out as a singer and a songwriter. But as always, until next time, I'll see you next time.